everyone, this is Fantasy Ask and welcome back to Season 2 of Royal Clan in ClanGen, the Warrior Cats clan generator game. When we left off in the previous episode, Owlfeather healed from his rat bite, which we learned can be very deadly, and thankfully everything is fine with him. In this episode, it is the first turn of Leaf Bear, and something very unexpected has happened, which I obviously wasn't expecting, because some of the romantic developments and entanglements we've been seeing led me to believe, personally, that things were going in a slightly different direction. But someone was hasty, and it didn't end well. So okay, let's take a look at what's been going on. It is Moon 69. Let's check in on the Leader's Den. Still in an age of peace with all of our alliances, and oh my goodness, I love the way the grotto looks in Leaf Bear. I don't know what it is. Reminds me of brownies and mud cake, and I love all the snow pouring in from the outside and how the forest is, all bluish. It's just so lovely. But okay, let's continue with the drama and head straight to events. 1. Magpie's sprain has healed, and 2. The surprise. Look, Quillrunner is sorry, but he just doesn't see Magpie that way. Magpie slinks off, rejected. The cool touch of rejection. Magpie, I feel terrible for her, because she has been in this whole process of, getting hurt various times and breaking up with Flailstorm. She's been getting some support and, apparently now friendship from Quillrunner, and I think Magpie had it in her head that Quillrunner maybe was harboring some feelings for her, and that's why he's giving her so much of his time, and she, her own feelings for him are growing as well. But apparently that's not the case. I mean, we know Quillrunner is in love with Icicle Speck, and maybe the love that he has for Icicle Speck can't compete with the maybe, small will of feelings he has for Magpie, the company that he enjoys in Magpie. But I feel so bad for her, because I was really rooting for Quillrunner and Magpie. They are one of the couples that, can be together without causing problems to everyone else they're connected with, but apparently that is not going to be it. Now, I don't know how this is going to affect Magpie's feelings, and I don't know if this is going to show up in the, timeline for relationships. We will check in a second, but I feel so terrible for her. What a cold start to Leaf Bear. A cold start to a very cold season. Okay, everyone looks to be in good spirits, which is nice to see. Also, this is going to be Freezepaw's final moon as an apprentice, guys. Final moon as an apprentice. So we'll see how his final patrols go. Let's go to the Medicine Cat Den. Magpie was given Poppy as treatment for Sprain, and then she healed. Icicle Speck could not find any herbs this moon. Let's have a look at the relationships and see if we can get a timeline on that rejection. King Fernstar offers to take Freezepaw's place on a patrol when he isn't feeling well. That is very nice and attentive of him to his apprentice. King Fernstar notices that Bearpelt is never congratulated for his accomplishments as much as everyone else, which is a surprise because he is the Bear Prince. Scorchmoss overhears something about Ghostfeather that she can relate to. Scorchmoss is complaining that Foxclaw never does anything helpful. Again, we are seeing very different behavior of Scorchmoss towards the two brothers. Icicle Speck is prancing around in front of Garlic Glow. Oh, Icicle Speck, I love you so much for giving your mate some attention. Icicle Speck learns that Foxclaw has been using him for something. Flailstorm thought Icicle Speck was very polite today. Ghostfeather mentions that Flailstorm looks good today. Shining Stripe swaps favorite prey with Garlic Glow. Shining Stripe helps Freezepaw with something he was struggling with. A clanmate has to comfort Flarefreckle when Garlic Glow says something cruel. When tucking in for the night, Flarefreckle saw that Ghostfeather fixed her nest. Bearpelt and Frostfade perk up happily when they see each other. Bearpelt and Ghostfeather thinks Ghostfeather was nice to him today. Okay. We need to keep an eye on these two. Ghostfeather, I don't think, has had any feelings for anyone. He's had no romances this whole time. And I wonder if Bearpelt's, flirtations from time to time is finally gonna get to him. Okay. Both Magpie and Scorchmoth startle at a clap of thunder. Magpie shares nest material with her son Freezepaw. Magpie is wondering what it would be like to grow old with Quillrunner. Oh no. Is this leading up to maybe her confessing and then Quillrunner saying that that's not how he feels or thinks? Oh, that would be heartbreaking. Yeah. So I think her feelings for him, which had been slightly growing, maybe bubbled over, and she thought the timing was right, everything was going right. Icicle Spec is obviously very taken with Garlic Glow. They're very happy with one another, and she probably thought that, with the amount of time that Quillrunner spends with her, maybe he feels the same, and now that Magpie isn't with Flailstorm, that's kind of done and dusted. Maybe it's the right time to pursue something here. But Quillrunner backed up real quick. And the fact that she didn't even fight it or anything, she just took the rejection and slinked off. Inkfeather is disappointed in King Fernstar's lack of initiative. Okay, look at that. So Inkfeather, who really speaks up to, I think, Fernstar, is disappointed in something. You know what? I'm thinking Inkfeather is maybe looking at some of the other cats, like how brave Magpie was, and sharing her feelings with Quillrunner, even if she did get rejected, how Icicle Spec is spending a lot of time with Garlic Glow, and maybe Inkfeather is feeling disappointed that Fernstar doesn't take that much initiative with her when everyone else's mates or romantic interests make the effort. And she actually, I don't know if she spoke up about it, but definitely she's disappointed. Inkfeather and Freezepaw had to fix something around camp and argued about how to fix it. It ended up being fixed by some other cat in the end. And then look, she's not getting along well with Fernstar's apprentice either. Quillrunner and Freezepaw often look at each other and smile knowingly about something. Scorchmoth says she hopes Frostfade has a nice day. Foxclaw and Ghostfeather try to say tongue twisters, so the brothers are spending some time. Inkfeather vents about something trivial to her son Ghostfeather. And I think Ghostfeather, if I'm not mistaken, is her favorite son? Freezepaw saved a piece of fresh kill that he knows is Magpie's favorite. Look at that. No one else is being attentive to his mother, but at least Freezepaw is being attentive to her. Flarefreckle gently woke up Garlic Glow this morning, even though I think they didn't really get along before because Garlic Glow was being a bit rude to Flarefreckle. Garlic Glow feels bad she caused a problem for Quillrunner. And that is all we have for the event. So let's wrap up over here and continue with the cat list. Okay, let's take a look at our cat list. First thing we need to check out is our loyalties, just to get a reminder of how things look over here. So there we go. And I'm really excited in the next episode to finally see whether Freezepaw is going to be a loyalist or an anti-loyalist. It's the first time we're doing this kind of system with the apprentices, so I'm excited. But in terms of relationships, I noticed a few things that I want to take a look at, and I think they're fairly obvious. The first one is with Garlic Glow, of course. Garlic Glow has had a romance gain with Icicle Spec, and we know it's because he gives her so much attention, and he was prancing around in front of her. It feels like they take turns. If they're not sneaking off together to go on patrols, they're almost taking turns to get each other's attention and be really sweet, so it definitely keeps, the bond alive and strong. So that makes me really happy. And then the next one was with Icicle Spec, who has had a romance gain for Garlic Glow, which again is not much of a surprise. Now, while we are here, I wanted to talk really quickly about the hatred that Icicle Spec has for Frostfade, because I honestly couldn't really connect the dots about why this might be the case. But one of you lovelies, Vonel, actually went into an in-depth explanation about why this might be the case, and I thought it was a really cool explanation. So I'm gonna read the comment out so we can all get a better understanding of what's going on. So Vonel said, "We know that Icicle Spec has a big crush on Frostfade's brother Quillrunner, and we also know that Flarefreckle's kids grew up seeing their uncles being very protective of their mother, so they learned to be close to each other and to be there in case of trouble. Maybe Frostfade doesn't have a good opinion of Icicle Spec because he sees this very attractive cat that everyone loves being interested in his brother, Quillrunner, and being previously mated with his uncle. But he also has many other cats gravitating around him. he maybe doesn't like that because it could lead to trouble and pain for his loved ones and complicated stories. He doesn't really act on it though because it's not enough to do so, but he occasionally shows a bit of an attitude towards him. From Icicle Speck's perspective, he certainly doesn't really understand the growing hostility of Frostfade because he is very used to being adored by everyone. Also, being a responsible cat, even if he is a bit of a Casanova, he ultimately knows his duty and does what needs to be done. For me, it's more of a lingering disapproval evolving into resentment without really being able to pinpoint a starting cause based on their personalities and personal sensibilities. And then I went ahead and had a bit of a look as to how Frostfade was feeling about Icicle Speck. And Frostfade, let's just quickly have a look over here. If we switch focus, his feelings for Icicle Speck, he's got like nothing except 2.5 bars of dislike. And so I, updated Vonel on that, and Vonel was saying that, let's see, it could be that Icicle Speck is more affected by this kind of hostility because he's even more sensitive to criticism now that he is making efforts to do his duty, even if the cost stings at the beginning. I mean, he was the most romantically attached when he was forced to break up with his previous mate, so he could have grown a lot of resentment for Frostfade because of his bad opinion of him, even if it wasn't a big deal to begin with. It just rubs him the wrong way at a bad time. It means that Frostfade is probably very oblivious to the fact that what is just a bad opinion on his part has such a bad impact on Icicle Speck's feelings towards him. So that is the massive sprawling web of emotions that I felt we needed to clear out of the way for this hatred, this hostility to make sense between Icicle Speck and Frostfade. So it ultimately comes down to the fact that Icicle Speck has a reputation. Frostfade has a certain upbringing, so he's protective maybe of his brother Quillrunner because of Icicle Speck's reputation. And it makes sense because Frostfade would know how much in love Quillrunner is with Icicle Speck. And maybe Frostfade doesn't entirely approve of the circumstances under which Quillrunner got close to Icicle Speck because Icicle Speck was mated to, their uncle Shining Stripe at the time. And he kind of felt that Icicle Speck was leading his brother along. And Icicle Speck, who obviously, not too long ago broke up, or when he broke up with Shining Stripe, he was in love with Shining Stripe at the time. We could kind of see how maybe he would be sensitive of other people's bad opinion of him because he might feel as though Shining Stripe shares those opinions and it's going to make him look worse. So, a lot of things going on there. And then the final thing I noticed was with Magpie, our sweet Magpie, who had a romance gain for Quillrunner. She still has that romance gain, guys, even though he did reject her. But I can kind of see Magpie wanting to do right by herself. And, if she wants to be true to her feelings, she's going to let Quillrunner know. But she is not going to hold it against Quillrunner for rejecting her because he also has a right to pursue whoever he has feelings for. But she does have the strongest amount of feelings for Quillrunner right now. I just hope she manages to work it out somehow. But I was really, hoping for her and Quillrunner to be a thing. That aside, I was looking at the romances of the cats, and we actually have 2 Casanovas in the clan. I mean, Icicle Speck is one of them, which we know because of how many cats has been involved with and still has romantic ties to. And Magpie is the other one, or I suppose, I don't know if she'd be a Casanova because that's more of a male term, isn't it? But maybe like a diva, a queen bee. I kind of like the term diva. She's a bit of a diva because she is, or I don't know, diva, queen bee, because she also has a lot of romantic attachments. Both Icicle Speck and Magpie actually have 4 romantic attachments right now each. So yeah, we have a male and a female who are kind of, I don't know if I'd say popular because this, their romantic entanglements is not a reflection of how many cats like them. It's a reflection of how many cats they like. So one's maybe a bit of a playboy, one's a bit of a playgirl. So yeah, that's what we have for these guys. And that is pretty much all for relationships. Let's go over to the matchmaker Inkfeather. to see if we can have a nice matchmaking session with Garlic Glow and Icicle Speck, who is in love with her. Did I notice that beforehand? Did he fall in love with her beforehand? I think he just fell in love with her in this moon. Is that the case, guys? Maybe? He might have just fallen in love with her this moon. I don't know why I didn't pick up on that. But I think he's actually fallen in love with Garlic Glow, guys. I think beforehand, Garlic Glow was in love with him. He was friends with her, but I think he's finally fallen in love with Garlic Glow. If it wasn't in the last episode and I'm forgetting, it's definitely in this episode. So yeah, these two are in love with each other. And I feel like Icicle Speck hasn't been this honest with anyone in a long time with his feelings. And I'm glad that unlike Shining Stripe, where he really dragged his feet and that was his like Playboy era, I'm kind of glad that he's not waiting too long with Garlic Glow and they're falling in love like at the same pace, because then he's not taking her for granted. And I feel like relatively their relationship is quite secure and stable. But let's have... Oh, there we go! So respect, trust, comfort, platonic like and romance has increased, dislike and jealousy have decreased. So Garlic Glow, I think, you know what, Icicle Speck, he finally felt in himself that without a doubt Garlic Glow was the one for him, and largely he had kind of let go. He decided to let go of Shining Stripe and stop kind of clinging to those memories and really give his heart over to Garlic Glow properly. And you know, in doing this, maybe beforehand he was actually for a couple of moons maybe holding back in confessing his feelings because he didn't want to say something irresponsibly, knowing how, you know, potentially many hearts he broke in his younger days. And so he really waited until he was absolutely sure how he felt before he told Garlic Glow this. And I think Garlic Glow is very touched by the fact that Icicle Speck took so much time and care with verifying his love for her before, you know, sharing it with her, because that's something special. So these two had a really good time. I'm really happy. Okay, so that is all that we have with the cat list, guys. Oh, no. I'm getting confused because of how much talking we're doing. We need to see what everyone's doing for the day. So, King Fernstar recently called a clan meeting but forgot what to say. He's getting old, guys. He's getting old. Garlic Glow is unsure of what the rest of the clan thinks of her as the king's right hand. Yeah. I don't know about the clan, Garlic Glow. I'm worried that you're the king's right hand, though. Icicle Speck is fetching Flare Freckle for another cat who is looking for her. Ink Feather wants to spend some time alone today. You know what's interesting about her is that even though she was disappointed in Mistar, her feelings for Mistar didn't go down at all. She has maintained her love for him. It hasn't gone down at all. But she wants to spend some time alone today, maybe to nurse that disappointment. She really is a loyal cat, isn't she? Shining Stripe tries to set a good example for younger cats. Flare Freckle is careful not to stand under branches with snow on them. Bear Pelt saw a two-leg petting a loner. Magpie is worrying about asking Icicle Speck for help for something minor. Oh, I wonder if she wants to ask for help for something regarding Quill Runner, because we know that Quill Runner is in love with Icicle Speck, but Icicle Speck doesn't really feel the same about him. Quill Runner is feeling a bit ill. Frostfade is finding Icicle Speck annoying. Okay, there we go. I mean, we were talking about Frostfade and Icicle Speck. And Frostfade, yeah, he's kind of on the same page as us, I think. It makes so much sense, though, that he doesn't like Icicle Speck because he thinks Icicle Speck is going to break his brother's heart. Foxclaw hopes to go to the next gathering. Ghost Feather had a nice chat with a cat from another clan at the border, so one of the independent cat groups. Freezepaw is wondering what the inside of a two-legged den looks like. Scorchmoss is curious about the other independent cat groups living in the forest, the non-royals. And Flailstorm hopes his legacy will continue on after his death in his son, Freezepaw. Of course, I hope so too, Flailstorm, I really do. But okay, now we have wrapped up with the cat list, so let's end things here and continue with patrols. Okay, we are continuing with patrols. We currently have 159.3 prey. We need 38.5, so we don't have to worry about food. It is wild to see so many cats ready for patrols, though. We're gonna send out Icicle Spec, our royal physician, to see what he gets up to. Icicle Spec heads out, deciding that Royal Clan needs more blackberry leaves in their stores. Proceed. The blackberry bramble has died back, withered and dry, and Icicle Spec can't get any fresh leaves from this. He notes with growing concern that leaf bear might have killed the plant. Okay, and now we are sending out our other cats on patrol. We haven't had patrols this big in a while. We're gonna have a patrol of 6 and a patrol of 5. So let's see what King Fernstar decides for his apprentice's designation on his final patrol. Okay, I guess he wants to end off his apprentice's final moon or final patrol under his supervision. So we have King Fernstar, Freezepaw, Magpie, Foxclaw, Quillrunner, and Ghostfeather. This might be a bit of an awkward patrol for Magpie and Quillrunner, given the rejection they've just had. But let's send them out, see what they get up to. King Fernstar has a vision for a clever battle move, but he needs a couple cats to practice it with. Proceed. Freezepaw isn't comfortable doing such intense fighting training, but also doesn't bring it up, instead going for the worst of both worlds, where he still does training and ruins it for the other cats, flinching back from being a good training partner. Oh no. You know what, I think Freezepaw has become so used to maybe doing things away from King Fernstar that he got very nervous knowing it was his last patrol. Maybe he felt as though it was a bit of a test and he kind of freaked out a bit, became overly cautious, because the last time he had a training session with Fernstar, he was climbing a tree and it was a really good one. So that's unfortunate. Okay, and now we have Frostfade, Bear Pelt, Flare Freckle, Shining Stripe, and Garlic Glow. So let's see what they get up to this time around. As the patrol heads out into the forest to hunt, Flare Freckle seems to be absolutely unconcerned with her duties, instead ambling along as though the prey is going to waltz into her paws. Proceed. Flare Freckle makes it look easy, and when the patrol is done mousing, everyone else ends up carrying catches, mostly brought down by her. She leads the way back to camp, sauntering with a distinctly smug sway of her hips. A medium amount of prey is brought to camp. Okay, and now we have 203.3, so food stores are doing very, very well. But I think it was an intriguing beginning to Leaf Bear in my opinion. But okay guys, with that said and done, I am going to leave off here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.